Okay. So, yeah. So, what did you want to take a look at today?
Um, I mean, it depends what we have time for. I kind of wanted to. So I've done the like your general webcast uh, that kind of goes over all the features.
Hmm.
Um, but and so I have some more specific questions as it pertains to some of our clients, but also uh, in extension of some of these features. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know what the best way to approach that is, to just go into each section and me ask questions, or what do you suggest?
Yeah, I would think that I think we should probably address your specific questions first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, hold on, let me just pull them up here. I just had another one I was going to add to this, and I totally spaced it. Let's see. Oh, well, I'll have to add it later. Okay. So, oh yeah, I remember what it was. Hold on. Let me just add it here. So do you have a list of referrals or people, that we could talk to who use the system that, we could get some feedback from?
Yeah. So we don't offer referrals because we used to.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started really becoming a burden on our customers. So that's
Yeah.
something that we've kind of stopped doing because it's we do demos. There's a lot. We're doing a lot of demos, and it just seems to be it's not a very scalable process for us, and it started to cause problems.
Okay. Okay. And then okay. And then
So
do you?
what we do to help schools that are maybe on the fence
Mm-hmm.
is we offer a 60-day 100% money back guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's along with a cancel anytime like general policy. So we don't lock anybody into agreements or anything like that. We're pretty we're pretty confident in our product and our service. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we offer those things.
Okay. And I guess so. You talked about like an onboarding fee. So does that include that? And I guess we should probably talk about kind of what's covered with that, like what you
Sure.
do and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is. That's all under the guarantee.
Okay.
Let's just see here. Bear with me one moment. I'll bring up sort of my presentation on the onboarding.
Oh yeah, no worries. I'm going to actually ask the other IT guy here a question real quick too.
Sure.
Hey, I put you on our regular speakers. I had headphones plugged in to make sure we weren't getting feedback and stuff, but I just want to make sure the audio is still working so my coworker here can listen in.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
So are you seeing my screen okay?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Um, the way our onboarding works is let's just kind of get to the main stuff here. So the stages include well, first of all, from day one, you've got full access to everything. We don't the minute you sign up, you've got your site, and it's all the features are there ready to go. At that point, there's an online video training course that's available to all the staff. There's also 10 30-minute, like we do 10 30-minute daily coaching sessions. So the school has to pick whoever's, like, generally speaking, there's one person that, in the office that's like the go-to. And they, so the way these coaching sessions work is it has to be the same person, and they have to be able to commit like 30 minutes for 10 consecutive days, like business days. So really 2 weeks. And that's the only way we do it. We don't do it any other way. So they can have other people watching if they want to, but like we record every session as well. But the point is that we run them through like skill building exercises so that they're going in regularly on a daily basis for 30 minutes, and they're learning the system, but they're also kind of getting that muscle memory of where everything is and what it's like and all that stuff. So
Right.
it's kind of geared towards our average customer who is a very non-tech savvy person and needs that extra level of coaching.
Okay.
And then so before the training starts, generally, the school just dumps everything on us. So we set up their database, and if they're using us for invoices, we'll set up all their accounts and invoices. And if they're using Hubbli as a website, we'll also, if they want to replace their website, or if they want their Hubbli site to be branded to match their existing site, we'll take care of that for them as well. And so we just migrate everything over for them, and then we just prepare like the launch strategy, in coordination with the school, just which is kind of like setting up a newsletter and everything to
Right.
launch it with all the parents. That said, so that's like kind of a standard process. This is like sort of a visual, workflow diagram of how that goes. This is standard. This is we've had schools sign up with us, and then the next day they were like planning on mailing out their parent packet to do all of their re-enrollment, and we're just like, don't do it with paper, like just send us your forms. We made them digital the next day, and then they sent it out, because ultimately at that point they were just using the digital forms component, and it saved them like 2 months of work, right?
Right.
So we just push that to the top of the queue so that they could, because we obviously didn't want a new customer to sign up and like be doing that much paperwork. That would kill us, so like things don't have to go in this particular order. It's just that these are all the sort of stages.
Right.
It's kind of a standard process. So the one big thing on it, obviously not everyone has to do it. I mean, people sign up with us, they're more tech savvy and they don't need our coaching and stuff like that. They're fine. But in order to get the money back guarantee, we do require that the school does go through this full onboarding process within 60 days. And the main reason is because that's how we know schools are most likely to be successful. So like really commit to the process, because there's a learning curve with any new tool or system, and we want them to be committed to that learning. So that's. Do you have any questions on this stuff so far?
No, that makes sense.
Great. Was there do you have any other questions about the pricing or the process?
No, I mean, so I have a couple of questions. Some of our schools have expressed, the need to pay at different times. So I guess I wonder, like what's your flexibility in terms of, like payments, or like do you do any sort of like a credit line until we can pay it, or how would that work, you know?
Well, I mean, I've never met a school that didn't have actually have the ability to pay things.
Mm-hmm.
And like, meaning this has never been a hindrance to a school onboarding with us.
Right.
The way we've worked things out is, I mean, because first of all, we try to make sure that they understand that using Hubbli, if it doesn't have a net positive effect on their bottom line, it doesn't make sense for them to use a system like this.
Right.
And really what that means is, like, if they don't get it that it's going to, then they don't understand. Right? So it's just they're not going to be a good customer for us, because they're not going to value what we do for them. So we do try to make sure that they understand that this is as much as like making their lives easier as it is improving the actual, result on their bottom line of the business. But so like right out of the gate, Hubbli should, cannibalize other expenses like paper usage and, other things, other tools that usually have a monthly fee or something like that. So now the one thing is the upfront payment of the setup fee is usually the thing that slows things down. So we do offer schools payment plans. We've also offered, although we do generally have like a cancel anytime policy. If a school wants to, like a school can like agree to like a 3-year term where you can spread the setup fee across a number of months. We also let the schools pay annually. So if they want to, so what we do, if they want to pay 12 months in advance, we actually reduce the monthly fee by $50 a month. So it saves them $600. So they're paying $149 a month.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful, because I mean that would be, I think that would be a hindrance to some of them, because a lot of times schools have to get a budget approved, and then there's certain times that we can allocate money for it, and other times that they can't, and that type of thing. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like usually like when we're talking to a director that has to get a budget approved with the board, we're usually talking to somebody that has some type of discretionary amount. So we're generally able to move the, massage the setup fee across a few months, put it into their discretionary amount, so they don't have to go through this like lengthy process.
Yeah.
Because they're, it's within their discretion at that point. So we try to make sure that, payment process, like the actual payment structure, is not a hindrance, because that's silly, for us. So we're about as flexible as, as we've ever needed to be. It's never been a problem. I mean, our goal is to get a school signed up more quickly, because they're more likely to see the value quickly. Another thing too is that the sooner the site is live, the sooner Google starts indexing, the site, and starts getting them traffic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame to like push things off when they could be building that value sooner.
Right.
So.
Okay. That sounds good. Hold on, let me just. So, one of the things that has come up is the idea of, so I'd like to be able to do like public marketing, as well as like more internal marketing, just to certain sets of parents. So is like, how easy is it to, like, say a teacher is posting something to the class, to her entire class of students and parents, how easy is it then to like mirror that onto like a public version of the site that's not protected just for parents? And like, is there any gateway to like approve that stuff, or how does that work? Does that make sense?
So it's really easy to show any particular content to any particular group of people, whether they are public or of a subset of parents.
Uh-huh.
Like that's like kind of like the point of Hubbli. I mean, that's where we our like the place we started from was like making it easy to do that. That's like one of the biggest sort of like time waste of school communication, and one of the reasons why school communication is so bad is because it's hard to do that for the average school.
Right.
So they end up just sharing everything with everybody, which means
Right.
everybody ignores everything because it's mostly irrelevant to them. So,
Mm-hmm.
so, so that's like we've kind of built a system to make that particularly easy and flexible.
So, I mean, is there a demo that you could just show me, kind of like a basic idea of how something like that would happen?
Yeah, sure. So let me show you here. So here's like a demo site, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna, what I'll do is I'll just log out. So here, so this is like a pretty normal website for a school. Talk about some kind of standard content that you'd see on the homepage. Talking about philosophy, the team, programs, enrollment info, and then if I log in, you'll notice that there's more pages here now.
Yeah.
Like groups. So these are like, one of our core features is this private social network. So if we go in and want to share information just with parents of a particular program or a staff group or whatever, like this is now how we're going to communicate things out to that to that group of parents.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a Facebook group kind of dedicated to that particular subset of parents.
Uh-huh.
Inside of the group, there's a number of other communication types. Like there's photo albums that can be created. And I apologize, my internet's a little slow, especially because we're on a webinar here, so it really slows everything down. There's newsletters, there's calendars, and there's forms too. So like whenever you're creating something, it's really easy to assign that information to a particular group. So as an example, events that are here in this calendar for this group, so here's some events here. Now, there's also like a school-wide calendar.
Yeah.
And what this school-wide calendar does is it brings in the events that it filters events away from the user to only show them what's relevant to them.
Right.
According to their group membership. So that's just an example. So same thing with forms. Like things that are assigned to a group show up in that group, are automatically sent. There's like an automatic notification that gets sent to the parents of that group. And then
like
also if the parents, yes. And then also if the parents go to let's say the forms page, like every site has a forms page. So this is right now showing all the forms on the site because I'm logged in. So this is my view, right? But if I
Uh-huh.
log in as a parent, I'm only going to see forms that are meant for me to see.
Uh-huh.
So if a form is for all parents, it'll be here. If it's for parents of a particular program, let's say something that'll get like a field trip for a class,
Right.
it'll show up here. It'll also show up in the group that it's assigned to.
And so does that for the forms, how does it indicate that like it's been filled out?
So that would be like the admin would see that.
I mean, like if a parent goes in and they see all these forms, how can they say, oh, I've already done the application form, but I need to do the attendance form or whatever?
So they can see their entries. So if you go to like any of the forms has an entries list.
Okay.
So let's say a basic form here is like attendance. So again, I'm going to see everything for everybody, but this would generally only show the entry that I've submitted.
Okay.
In addition, every student has a page. So if I go to my daughter Leora's page, any form submitted about a child shows up on this page.
Okay.
So this is like a digital filing cabinet of digital records for this child.
And so is that, and then you can specify, okay, these parents have access to that student, or how does that work?
Yeah. So the parents are connected to the child, so they're the only ones that can see this page.
I see.
And then if you're on staff, and just as another FYI, if you want to quickly message the parents of a child, you can go to their page and click on message parents and send them a private message.
Okay.
And then you could even CC another staff member if you need to or something.
Okay.
And then, so you can also just you can go to anybody's profile and send a one-off private message to somebody and include any other users. But this is just a quick way to send them. So this is now showing all the different form entries for for this child. And then as well, any of these these menus are completely customizable.
Okay.
So you can say like this one directory. So this is what we're showing here is just a way to build a directory for all the parents to see everyone else. So like, and it's just really customizable. That's why we show this one.
Right.
So like if the school wants to have a very specific, directory, that, in the form settings, you can basically identify who's able to see. So by default, you can only see, if you're a parent, you can only see your entries.
Right.
So you can just go into this form and say, anybody can see the entries, like any user, any member.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. And so, so when you say the menus are customizable, is that by you guys or by us?
Both. You're able to do it, and then like as a service, you can always ask us to do it for you as well.
I see. Okay. And then when you were showing the parents before listed under the students, you showed that like quick message feature, but is there a way to like pull up their other details and like as a teacher or an administrator, if I wanted to send an email to them, but perhaps use like my Gmail account or whatever, like does it show the email address there?
Yeah, sure. So you can, well, first of all, there's a members tab here, so I'll just show you here, like what that would be like. there's also just like a search field. So the easiest way to like get to someone's profile is just to go and search for them. So if I go to Naomi's profile, I can see like whatever info you want to share. So you could add email here. You could add. This is totally customizable. You can add whatever profile fields you want, and there's also settings to those fields as to, what is visible to everybody or visible just to admin, or so that it's generally speaking, like the contact information like this, the personal contact information is usually just shared with the admin.
Right.
But if you can, or the staff, so you can set what roles, like whether a teacher or admin or parent, or even specific users that have access to different info.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And
so this is kind of like the kind of the most standard basic way to share that any information on the parents. But the directory also, like that directory list. So that's like that's just another way but this is the kind of like the standard, the simplest and most out of the box way to do it. And here, if you notice, I've got like I've just, as an example for demo purposes, I just created a page called a private page. So like you not only can you hide the page? So I just threw up an image on the page, but the content in the page can be either only viewable to people that are logged in, or could also be password protected. So if you want to create a page that's like only accessible to people you give a password to, that's another way to do it.
I see.
Yeah. So we have a lot of sort of content protection features, just because we know schools, in many scenarios, need it, sort of on an impromptu basis even. So if you want to throw up a page for like 2 weeks on a site, right, it's like really easy to do and make sure that only certain people can see it. Right.
Okay. And so to back up a little bit, you were showing a calendar. We use Google Calendar. Is there any way to like sync some of that stuff to the main school calendar or vice versa?
Yeah, you can actually. So you can subscribe to the calendars. To have it show up, so that any parent can do that. Either an iCal or a Google Calendar subscription, and as the admin, you can actually push from a Google Calendar out to this calendar as well.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Okay, that sounds good. And then so I noticed that when you initially logged in, there was like a WordPress login. So is some of this built on top of WordPress, and like, does that mean we have access to expanding it with WordPress at all, or is that kind of all locked down?
Yeah, it's all built on WordPress, and you have no access to the plugin or theme editing areas. So that's completely locked down. Okay. So it's fully managed by us, and that's just for code continuity and security purposes and all that stuff. So we don't allow anybody to add any level of scripting or anything onto it. But we are managing it so that it's got the functionality that you need.
Okay. And so
mind you, in regards to the website, like the appearance of the page, you do have like page level CSS and site level CSS, editing features. So you can mess with the visual appearance of any page, or of your site,
Yeah.
either inside the customizer of the theme, or you can, so essentially you can make it do whatever you want it to do if you have the know-how of
Right.
styling.
We just can't go in and upload our own template, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And then related to security, like worst case scenario and your system was hacked, what kind of protections, what insurance do you have in place? Like how does that all work?
So, so we're employing, as much security as essentially as possible throughout the system. So like every single page of every site is, encrypted. The servers have SS8016 certifications on them. And there's obviously everything's password protected. So on top of that, you also have like all the media, any individual media items can be protected as well. Now, so that's all just like how now in regards to, I mean, yeah, we're fully insured. Hubbli being a target of a like a database hack is, I think, incredibly, like, I think the chances of that are just even being a target is very, very remote. And that said, like, there could be like a DDoS attack, which is like just something that is just that we have experienced as much as Twitter or anybody else has. That currently our server is on Rackspace, so like if Rackspace, one of the server farms, gets attacked with a denial of service, like we may go down for a short time. But that's a denial of service. That's not anybody getting anywhere near the actual database. So like to actually to have one of these scenarios where, like, most recently Yahoo had a bunch of user data, sure, I mean, the reality is that it's possible, like if it can happen to Yahoo or LinkedIn or these, like, they, I'm not going to suggest that we have better security than they do. We're not, it's just a matter of like, I think any hacker looking to, for that, I can't tell the future, but I can't think of a reason why Hubbli would be the target specifically.
Right. Okay. Hold on, I had a couple other questions. So, we, depending on who this is set up for, and depending on the rates and stuff, like, a school may choose to do, you mentioned that you have like a tuition management system, but also just the ability to create your own custom forms that have, billing, like authorized.net processing built into it. So I guess I would like to be able to, do you have an example of a form, like just setting up a basic form to send an invoice to somebody and then kind of reporting on that, like who's completed it and who hasn't, type of thing, and like the payments and stuff, or how does that work?
Sure. Show you. So you're saying outside of
the tuition management system?
Okay, outside of tuition management, yeah, sure.
And after that, maybe we could actually look at the tuition management system too.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause this for 1 sec.
Yeah, no worries.
By the way, how do I spell your last name? I'm just not sure if I have it correct.
It's Buchanan.
Yeah, no, I don't have it correct. So, so this is an example of the entries from a form specifically. So when there is, so when there, so any, this is like what the form entries would look like on the back end, right?
Okay.
Like I've shown you what they look like on the front, like for the more of like a quick view. This is where you can really dig into things a little more. So when there is like a payment or a purchase added to, like, or a product or whatever, a payment feature added to a form, you'll get the form entry, and you can, let me just get things off my screen here, covering my ability to see things. Bear with me a sec. So you can actually adjust, I'll just show you here.
The columns that show up.
Payment status and things like that. So, so right here, you'll be able to see, like, obviously who paid. You can see payment status, like, so this one's approved. You also have like sales, like a sales report, like from that you're getting like through the API from the processor.
Yeah.
So it's simple, but you see everything here, and you can, whether it's PayPal or Authorize.net or Stripe, you can be be creating. It can be the standard scenario for a form is an incidental one-time payment, but you can trigger a subscription payment as well.
Okay, so then.
So let's say it's like let's say it's something simple like a pizza lunch, and it's like $10 a month or something.
Yeah.
It can be handled through the forms and just be. And every time there's a successful payment, the parents or whoever can get an invoice or a notification of the transaction.
Okay, and so related to that, say we have a field trip coming up and there's fees attached to it, and we send out a form to everybody saying, hey, you need to fill out this form. Is there, like, how would you not only track who did it? Obviously, we could see who had completed it here, but what about who hadn't completed it, and then perhaps sending out like a reminder, hey, you haven't completed that. Can you make sure to do this?
Yeah, so we do have, like, you can create like a workflow. So this is like really where things get the most advanced. So what you can do is create a workflow step that would be a reminder for that particular form. So let's say we want to add a step like that particular scenario would be could be payment reminders. And then you select what kind of step it is. So this would be a notification, right? And then you're going to select a condition for that step, which would be, like something that has to be completed.
Yeah.
And so until that's done, like that step can, like, will be like you'll be able to see who is or has not completed that step, right? And you'll be able to dig into, like, you'll see right there inside the entries who's done what step or who.
Okay. And the condition could be like the same form that we asked them to fill out last week, or how would that work? You know what I mean?
The same form that they,
like the same payment form that we asked them to fill out last week that they haven't yet. We're like trying to follow up and say, hey, you haven't filled this out. Can the condition be that, or how do the conditions work?
Yeah, it would be on that. So like you would send it out to them, and until they
Or it would just be the same form, or I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering how this integrates with like, do the conditions tie to the actual forms, like the actual payment forms, or what do they, what can
it's it's all the same. Like the form is the form. So you can like it kind of depends on the scenario. So it sounds like it. Can you give me an actual scenario, like just so that I can make sure that
I mean, so it would be like we have a deadline of May 16th for them to register for this program, and they and we've sent out a notification saying, hey, register for this program, and only half the people have done it. So we're wanting to follow up on that and be like, hey, remember, this is due in 2 days, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, or do you need more?
Yeah. Yeah. So so generally speaking, these reminders and things like that will work like once they do something on the form, and so it's like they have to like fill out the form, and then depending on what did or did not happen, they can get follow-up reminders, and then you can see who did or did not do it. There's also you also have the ability to add people to a form workflow, so you can basically upload them into the, so like it's kind of like so you're going to actually add them to the form and then trigger the notification. So like it's sorry, go ahead.
You trigger it initially, and like a week later, when you trigger it again.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, so I didn't quite hear what you said.
So if you set things up application and then for some reason a bunch of people the doubt a week later trigger.
Okay, it's a little hard to hear you right now. I'm not sure if something changed with the maybe with the bandwidth or something, but I think what you're asking. So basically, what would happen is you would set up the form, and you would set up the notifications and whatever would trigger the conditions that would trigger the different notifications, right? And so that would be them doing something or not doing something, and that could be a week later, and then a week after that, and then a week after, whatever it is, or it could be 3 months or 6 months down the road. You can do it either by date, but you can set up the notifications to go up by a particular date or over a certain span of time. So like in 2 weeks, do this or whatever. So so then what you would do, so once that's set up and all those steps are set up, you would then upload. You would basically just have to add them to the form.
I see. That makes sense. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a little bit it's not so what you're actually doing is you're not actually adding the users to the form. You're just adding their email address to the form.
Right. Okay.
So like the form entries are not it does connect to their user account. Like so if somebody so you can actually like so it's not like you're gonna select users from your user list and say send it to them. What you're gonna do is like you're basically you're gonna upload entries into the form as if they filled it out.
Okay.
But you can do that. You would do that by way of like a like a CSV upload.
Yeah. Okay. I think I understand, and I'm also trying to get kind of a better picture of how some of the workflows would be done at this school. So it's taken a few years to just get them to the point where we've been able to convert some of their application and registration forms to like digital forms, but even though that's the case, they've still had to do things in kind of segments. So an example is like in January, a lot of parents apply, and when they apply, there's like a $50 application fee, and then they get, right now what happens is they get added to the system, and so they can kind of track them from there on and say, okay, well, look, they've applied, they paid the application fee and applied, but now we need to collect the commitment fee, which is like a $600 commitment fee, which is kind of securing their spot in the program. But they don't want to actually collect all the user information at that point, because they know that, by the time the school year starts in 6 months or whatever, in August, a lot of that information is going to change. And so then they've sent out a separate reminder saying, okay, now at this point, we need you to update all of your emergency contacts and all of that type of thing.
Right.
So I'm just trying to get a feeling of, can we collect different fees and forms in segments like that?
Yeah, definitely. So it can be done like, and that's the kind of like a very similar kind of standard process, right? So like they let's say they fill out an inquiry form, and then there's it sounds like there's like an application form that has like an application fee, and then you're saying a commitment fee. So
Yeah.
those would all be different forms,
Right.
and the like one form can trigger a notification for the next form.
Okay. And that makes sense. And then, like in terms of, like we may want to be able to track just people inquiring about the school. Like, would that be done through like another system? Say, for example, we want to be able to see that they applied 2 years ago and for some reason they didn't actually register, they didn't end up coming to school, or they called in and they asked for tuition prices but they didn't apply or whatever. So is that something that would be able to be done through your system, or would we not put them in here until they're actually a student at the school?
So what we do is so that's what the forms are really good for, actually, is, well, not that, but like that's something that our forms do particularly well. Like, so you've got an inquiry form, like, something would be very basic, right?
Right.
And then what we do is we add like this right here, this like status. This is kind of like your pipeline stages, right? So you could add whatever stages you want to this, like this stage in the inquiry process, and it could be like, so let's just say like the standard process is when a parent fills out the inquiry form, somebody talks to them on the phone and like, basically either schedules them or approves them for a tour, right?
Yeah, that's
Like
how
come in for a tour. So at that point, you would just like go to like this would be built in a workflow. So what would happen is like you might have like approved for tour or not approved for tour, and each one of these things could trigger another automation step, like a notification. So let's say they're approved for the tour. If this is an admin field that the parent doesn't see when they're filling out the form. So so you would, let me just see if there's actually, I'll see if I can even do this live with you, because I'm not sure if this workflow is like set up and functioning, but I'm just going to take a look. So here we go. Okay. So there's a whole workflow here, right? So like, so this is a task to call the prospect and book them for a tour. This is a task for someone on the staff. Yeah. Okay. So if we take a look at this, so if somebody comes to your, like they do a Google search for the school and they find the school and they fill out the inquiry form. So what happens is this was a notification step that was created, and it's assigned to anyone who's an administrator. So you can assign this notification to anybody, any particular user or any role. So at this point, all administrators would get this task, right? And you can customize the task to say, like right now, it just says reminder to call new parent prospect. Okay. To book for a tour. Yeah. Really specific, right? And then this is the actual message, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm just going to go ahead and update this. So that step has been created. And so what happens is if I fill out that form, somebody that's an administrator at the school is going to get this. If a prospective parent fills out this inquiry form, someone's going to get a task to call them. So then the next, let's take a look at what the next step is. So after I call them, right? Like, so what's the next thing? Tour. So this is tour approval post call. So this task is an approved task. So this means that somebody has to approve or not approve. So how is this triggered? So there's a condition on this. So somebody, this has kind of been, unfortunately, it's kind of messed around a little bit, but see here, status. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a condition for this approval task.
Uh-huh.
Wait a second. Lines are getting crossed here. Let me just take a quick look at the list. The bottom line is, depending on the status field, whether somebody approved it or not, if they approved it, then the next step would ensue, but only at that point.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so if I have to call it right. So the task was to approve them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to update this. Here we go. I'm going to delete a couple of these because they're so I'll just make this a really quick one, like just a couple, like basically 1 or 2 steps, and then you'll actually see the process.
So when you delete something, does it automatically just step to the next one that was on the list, or does it have to be tied into it?
It does by default, or you can identify like what happens. So like the next step down here,
Oh,
it could be like next step in the list, or you can move it to any particular one, or you can say if that happens, it's complete. So there might be like a fork, where you say if this happens or that happens, then this is just done.
Right.
So I'm just going to add a user input. So this will be approve for tour. So this is going to be a task for an administrator to approve for the tour or not. So so what happens is go down to roles. So we're going to say the status is the editable field, and then so then you can customize the message here, but we'll just say we're going to add merge fields here. So first name and last name has still say please call them at.
Can't tell if it's
Okay, so real simple, but And then you can even set a reminder. If it doesn't happen, you can send a reminder to go out in 2 days. And you can schedule an expiration. And then after that's done, it just goes to the next step in the list. So what I'll do now is open up another browser here. Fill out the inquiry form. You can also just get it, you can get a direct link to the form. Every form has a direct link, so you can just grab that from the settings and put it into any email, or anything like that as well.
Okay.
So here's the inquiry form. I'll just say John O. Test. Oh, that's just anyways.
Can you hold on one sec?
Sure.
Hello? Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, so I'll just fill this out. So I'm submitting that, and then you can add whatever you want to the confirmation. It can show this. This is like a default. It could also direct them somewhere else.
Right.
You can do anything. You got a number of options on that. So
at this point it shows that they've done that first part?
Yes, just bear with me a second here.
Yeah, no worries.
So here is the, that's not, all right. Okay, so so because I filled that out, I got this notification here. So from Hubbli Academy, please confirm that so-and-so has booked a tour.
Okay.
Right, so like that's just one example. Then there's a link right to that entry that brings me into mark that I'm confirming. So now I'm going in to update the, the confirmation.
Okay.
This is, so this is all customizable, but this is like, so that's that. So I was the staff that got notified saying, so filled out the blah, 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 confirm that they booked a tour. So I can now say, because I'm the one that called them or whatever, I can say they're approved or not approved for the tour.
Okay.
I can mark that. So this is the only, so this could be a list of 5 different options. Like it could be approved for tour or not approved, like call back in a week or whatever it is. Like, whatever your process would be, we just build it in.
Uh-huh.
So this is the type of stuff that we do during the setup process.
Right.
Where we work with the schools, like this type of enrollment process is generally the most kind of like the hardest one to do. And we
Uh-huh.
set it up with you or the school, like, to really customize it for your, because automate work, marketing and workflow automation is it's just not something that anyone in a school is generally apt to learn how to use. Like, even if it's the easiest or whatever tool out there, it's they don't. This is like Chinese to them.
Right.
So we set it up, and then they just, what happens is they start getting inquiries and tasks and things like that, and usually, like, they might say, oh, okay, well, can it say this or that, and then we just make these quick updates for them.
Okay. And then, like, we are, like, if they were just parents inquiring and they hadn't actually applied or enrolled, like, you could have a different group set up for them, just saying interested parents or.
Yeah, well, you would know that by the entries, like the status.
Uh-huh.
So you wouldn't want to create users for them and then put them in a group or whatnot. What you would want to do is just, go into the form entries and take a look at the, all the users, all the prospective parents, or all the entries from the inquiry form that are at a particular status, because that would tell you what kind of stage they're at. So, like, when they submitted the inquiry, what status they got to, then you can just take that list and start. You can even create an email to be sent out to them to, like, re-engage them or something.
Okay.
Like, with this workflow tool, you can actually create a drip sequence, like a drip email sequence that just hits them on a weekly basis while they go through the enrollment process.
Mm-hmm. To kind of check in with them or that type of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, to check in with them, but also to just, continually sell them on it.
Yeah.
So this is like the workflow section. Like, so there's an inbox and there's reports on, so here's, like, here's an inquiry form. This is the submission I just made. Says
right.
The step is tasked to confirm tour booking. So if I click on that, this will take me right into that task. So I'm going to say approve for tour and then hit update. And then whatever that would fulfill a condition for something else and trigger another task or step or what have you.
Yeah, I get it.
So, I'm trying to think where that form is now. So if we go to the entries of the inquiry form, you'll be able to see, like, whatever stage they're at,
right?
Whatever workflow step they're sitting at, or like the status. So, like, what we suggest is this is the status field that I updated. That has approved or what have you. So that's kind of like the place that you want to be updating to manually. That's where you go into to, like, say, okay, this parent is at this stage, like, proof of tour, came in for tour, like, approved for application, received application. You know what I mean? Like, they've gotten to that point. They're now in, right? So then you want to manage them somewhere else, because you don't want to manage your prospects where your actual enrolled parents are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So like, you want them to stay in this list, but you want it to be clear what their what their status is. So this particular one that I just filled out, as you can see, I use this as a test, is approved for tour. Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll also just add the entry date so that it's just to give you like a better glimpse. So
I get it. Mm-hmm.
So that just happened a few minutes ago. This guy's approved for tour. Great. So that's the stage that he's at. So you might go in here later and say, well, and just sort by status,
Yeah.
or sort by, status and then select, just want to see everybody that's at approved for tour and hit search. So now it's going to filter. So you have a filter here to see everyone at a particular stage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So now it's like, okay, so now if I want to send these guys a notification,
Mm-hmm.
There might be 20 people or 5 people at that stage. I can just select all of them and say, resend notification to remind them to do something that they haven't done yet or whatever it is.
Okay.
So,
All right,
so that would be under notifications, or it could be a workflow step.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I have some other questions, but I'm getting short on time here. I'm assuming you probably are too. So maybe I can email you, or we could set up another time at some point to go over some of this stuff. You said that, just real quick, you said that depending on the merchant account, you can do like save payment details on file and then rebill them. Like, one of the questions one of my clients has had is, how do we do just like point of sale stuff, almost like that is like everyday little small charges that people come in and want to be able to do, like a lunch here and there, like a t-shirt or whatever.
So that is so that I get there's two separate things. So you're saying save like stored billing information so that you can just bill them whatever whenever?
Like, no, so we would say, hey, do we have approval to bill your account for this type of thing,
Right. Yeah, so that's something that you can so that requires like what's called tokenized payments, and so that doesn't work on our forms, but that is possible on our invoices.
I see. Okay.
With currently with authorized.net.
Okay.
And then that will soon, probably, actually, very likely within the next week or two, also just be available to like everybody using, like, we have our own merchant system,
right? Yeah.
That we're partnered with. So so the only reason why we actually still offer a few other payment processes is because we're developing. There's a few more features we're developing to our own merchant system before we require everybody to use that one. So that'll probably be happening in the next few weeks, actually.
So at that point, you're not going to let people use authorized.net on forums and stuff, or what do you mean?
Well, no. So we will, but on the invoicing itself, on the the tuition invoicing tool, it'll be it's up in the air. So if somebody signs on with us expecting to use authorized.net, we're going to let them do that.
Right.
But we're also going to probably make a compelling case why they should switch over, because we'll probably save them.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. Maybe we can meet another point. I still have a few questions, but I really appreciate all the help so far. Like this, it looks like a pretty powerful tool. So I want to check in with some people and also get any other questions I need from them. And then at some point, we'll probably set up a demo with some staff members.
Okay. And what's the name of your company?
My company is Tiki Multimedia.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I've got your information Yeah, correct. Because right now I just have you as like private schools. So is it TIKI?
Yeah, TIKI, multimedia, all one word.
Okay. And you're located in Salt Lake City?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
So do you guys have a website?
Yeah, it's just tikimultimedia.com.
But it sounds like you do other types of you work on other types of businesses as well.
Yeah,
Or
we
is it
do.
just schools?
We do a lot of nonprofit work, and some regular businesses, some enterprise work as well. But most of our clients are nonprofits.
Okay. hmm Yeah. So depending on like it is possible that you get your own that you can actually change the theme on your
Mm-hmm.
site, but it's but like that would come with like a come along with a custom implementation quote as well.
Right, like you guys would implement that kind of.
Yeah, like so it would have to go through our development team, and and then we'd have to ensure that because we like whatever theme you wanted to use, we would still have to add a lot of stuff to it.
To make it work with all your stuff, yeah.
Right.
I get it.
So I mean, it's easy to do that on WordPress, but it does take it is like a custom thing, and then it actually has to be and then it has to be updated every time we make updates.
Yeah,
So
doing
there's like there can be an ongoing fee
cost.
to that
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And I don't think that's not a huge concern. I just know that that'll be one of the questions. I think for the clients that we work with, 90% of the time we'd just be able to, use some CSS. I mean, I'd have to look at your setup, but I'm sure we'd be able to do what we need to with CSS in order to get them what they needed,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Our experience is that no school has actual design needs beyond what can be handled through, with just the standard customization options and layout options and CSS. If there is something that's like that, it's like I would generally suggest like rethinking the need. It's like not going to really, if there's some like really important like animation that requires like a JavaScript update or something on the homepage, it's like that's not really gonna, schools don't need to like win a Webby award. They need to communicate,
Yeah.
professionally and give prospective parents a sense of trust, So we'll consult people on that, but it's there have been instances where it's just like for whatever reason they needed it. So we do accommodate that.
Okay. And do you use your system for anything other than schools?
No.
Okay. That's good to know.
Well, we have in the past, but we don't any longer.
Yeah, because it's just so tailored for that.
Yeah, it's at this point like it would be like it's it would just be all this extra work because language is so set up, and like we've really built a lot of things with very specific considerations for schools that aren't are just would seem odd for any other type of business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, I got to run, but I'll touch base with you early next week and set up another appointment that we can kind of follow up on some of these other questions, if that's okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your help.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.